Stripes are everywhere. On suits, on runways, on football jerseys, prisoners, priests, even your socks. They're bold, they're simple, they're clean. But for most of history, they were anything but innocent. In fact, stripes were feared. Feared enough to get you exiled, punished, or worse. What is it about lines that once made them dangerous? This is the forgotten story of the world's most controversial pattern. A story of shame, seduction, power, and rebellion, woven in stripes. This is Watch and Wardrobe. Let's rewind to medieval Europe, around the 1200s. Back then, fashion wasn't just taste, it was law. Every stitch said who you were. Stripes said, I don't belong here. Historical records from France, England, and the Holy Roman Empire show a pattern. People on the fringes of society were forced to wear stripes. Lepers, prostitutes, prisoners, executioners, court jesters. Why? Because stripes stood out, literally. In a world built on symmetry, balance, and order, horizontal or vertical lines disrupted the visual flow of garments. They looked chaotic, unnatural. To medieval eyes, they were almost evil. In 1254, the Council of Paris declared striped clothing improper for Christians. Tailors were fined for making striped outfits. Wearing them could get you thrown out of town or labeled immoral. In one bizarre case from 1310, a French servant was executed for showing up in a striped tunic. No, not jailed. Executed. Striped fabric was becoming the official uniform of those who must be seen, but not respected. So, why did stripes carry this heavy symbolism? Part of it comes down to how the human brain sees order. Solid colors equal stability, uniformity, predictability, while stripes equal rupture, disruption, and conflict. In a religious society obsessed with purity and harmony, stripes were visual chaos, a metaphor for social or moral disorder. Think about it. Criminals, jesters, madmen, they don't follow rules. Neither do stripes. Even animals with stripes, like snakes and tigers, were seen as dangerous or demonic. In Christian art, striped clothing sometimes marked Satan or Judas. The bottom line is this. Stripes didn't just look different, they meant difference. And in the wrong century, that's made them dangerous. Fast forward to the 18th and 19th centuries. Stripes make a comeback, but not in high society. In prisons across Europe and America, officials chose black and white stripes as the perfect punishment uniform. Why? Because it was humiliating, bold, ugly, unmissable. If a prisoner escaped, they could be spotted from a mile away. Stripes made people visible, and that's exactly what the system wanted. You couldn't hide from society. You were marked. Some historians believe this choice was also symbolic, reinforcing the old associations of shame and otherness. Even in the US, prisoners in striped uniforms were treated more like exhibits than humans. In fact, these stripes became so closely associated with crime that by the early 20th century, it became cartoon shorthand for a bad guy. Even today, when you see a striped jumpsuit in a movie, you know exactly what it means. But stripes weren't always about punishment. In 1858, the French Navy introduced a new uniform, the marinière, a blue and white striped shirt. Why stripes? Visibility. If a sailor fell overboard, stripes made them easier to spot against the water. Function before fashion, but fashion noticed. And one person in particular changed everything. 1917, Coco Chanel visits the French coast. She sees fishermen and sailors in these striped shirts, and she's captivated. They're simple, masculine, modern. So she steals the look, not literally, creatively. Her nautical collection that year includes striped tops for women, loose, comfortable, effortless. Suddenly, stripes aren't about shape, they're about freedom. Thanks to Chanel, stripes became a symbol of rebellion, not against society, but against corsets, expectations, and gender rules. This is the moment where stripes go from stigma to style. From there, stripes take off. In the 1950s and 60s, beatniks and existentialists in France adopt striped shirts as anti-establishment fashion. Then in the 70s, punk flips it even harder. Black and white stripes, straight from old prison uniforms, become a middle finger to the system. Stripes now mean defiance, nonconformity. Bands like the Ramones wear them on stage. Vivienne Westwood puts them on runways. The stripe is no longer a warning, it's a weapon. But the story gets even weirder. While punk was owning stripes as rebellion, Wall Street was embracing them too. Enter the pinstripe suit. Originally worn by bakers in 19th century London to show which firm they belonged to, pinstripes became the uniform of power, of capitalism, of dominance. The same pattern once used to humiliate prisoners, now stitched into $1,000 suits. Funny, right? Stripes, once seen as impure, now signal control. Maybe that's always been the point. Today, stripes are everywhere. On high-fashion catwalks, streetwear, sports jerseys, designer logos. Vertical stripes make you look taller. Horizontal stripes, a bit more playful. They don't scare us anymore, but they still speak. They still catch the eye, and that's no accident. Stripes always had a message. We just forgot how to read it. From lepers to luxury, from sinners to suits, stripes have been misunderstood, weaponized, banned, and reborn. They've meant danger, visibility, rebellion, power. But one thing's for sure, they've never been just fashion. So next time you put on that striped shirt, tie, or scarf, ask yourself, what are you saying without saying a word? This is Watch and Wardrobe, and the next time someone calls your look too loud, just smile and tell them it's tradition.